What's up guys, this is Joe Bennett, Redcon 1 Elite Trainer, coming out with some more glute tips. I'm going to touch on a controversial subject of squats and how to squat for optimal glute development. So if you like to squat because you're a powerlifter, because squatting is your sport, because you're an athlete, everything I'm about to say may not apply. Some people like to squat. What I mean, if your squat is your sport, then you have to meet certain parameters. You have to go to X amount of depth, you have to go X amount of pace, and weight's important. But if your goal is glutes, there's two things you want to accomplish when you're doing this. From a technique standpoint, you want a lot of range of motion at the hip. It doesn't really matter as much what's occurring at the knee, because we're not training the muscles around the knee. It matters what's occurring at the hip. From there, we also want the hips far away from the bar. So if we looked at the bar path, the further the hip is from the bar, the more weight essentially that bar is placing on the hips. So that's what all the form cues are for here, is let's get a lot of range of motion at the hip and let's get those hips far away from the bar path. And then the other things that we already did from there is, one, we have to make sure that we isolate it staying just at the hips. So we'll show a couple examples of if you go too deep or if you put it to other joints, how other things can work. And then also we obviously have to be able to feel the muscle that we want to train. So Darielle's going to demo all of those things at once, and she's going to make it look good. So we're going to show, hopefully I'll give her a couple things. I'll have her do a rep or two actually going a little too deep, and then we'll have her do a couple more reps then after that actually showing depth. And the difference I want people hopefully to see is where that she's going a little too deep, it's from her back and her spine moving. It's not from her hips actually doing any more work. Whereas when she doesn't go as deep, the range of motion is ending where her hips don't have any more range of motion essentially. So Darielle's going to go ahead. Good. Darielle's got her weight on her heels. She's thinking about pushing her hips back first. And again, first couple are going to be a little too deep. So this is how Darielle normally squats, because if you're not ass to grass, you suck. And now Darielle's going to stop where her hips stop. So go ahead and push her hips back. Control, control. Right there. Good. Yep, a couple more, hips back. So what she's thinking about is starting the movement with her hips moving first. She's trying to push her hips back far away from the bar, and then building on the cues we did before, when she's at the bottom, she's going to give us a little pause. She's going to try and squeeze her glutes and then continue the motion from that glute squeeze. Perfect. Thanks, Darielle. So hopefully people can see, while technically her second form variation there isn't as deep, it's because we're trying to train what the glutes actually do. The glutes only move the hip, they don't move her spine. So even though it's not as deep, we're just keeping it isolated to the muscles that we're actually trying to train. She's going very slow, very controlled. I always tell people slow isn't a requirement, except when you're learning. Slow is the prerequisite to control. So she's going slow because, one, that's all the benefit of that exercise at the bottom there. Squats are hardest at the bottom, so she actually wants to spend time where it's hard if your goal is to train your muscles. And then when she's learning something new, she's going to do a little pause, she's going to squeeze her glutes, and then she's going to initiate the movement. Once she really has that down, then she can essentially do things a little bit quicker, and that just kind of helps prevent her from not going back to old habits or going too deep and letting something else take over.